Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. In our first story, our OP made a perfect response to somebody who's being really annoying and pretending to have more clout than they're entitled to. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Write me up? Let's go. Several years ago, I worked in an office, and one of my coworkers was married to someone in HR. The guy was a bit of a tool and had only been with the company a few months. I'd just been promoted and went back to my old area where a colleague and I were talking about how stupid some new company policy was. Think Michael Scott asking for TPS reports in triplicate on carbon paper. Dude walks over to my friend's cubicle where we were talking and says, "Don't talk about that." I say, "Okay, whatever you say," and kept talking about it. After a couple of rounds of "I'm serious," he bursts out with, "OP, I'm gonna write you up if you don't stop talking about Michael Scott's TPS report requirement." I stopped in mid-sentence, mildly confused for a moment, until I realized that I don't work in that department. Even if I did, I didn't work for him. Nobody worked for him. I walked over to his desk and told him I was ready to be written up and that I hoped this wouldn't affect my career prospects at the company. Or his. I said, "Should we walk over to HR together and talk to your wife about our respective roles and job responsibilities with this company?" He never tried to play boss again. And our second story. Crazy lady decided to bug me, a locksmith, and literally called the police because I wasn't supposed to be here. I was. Earlier today, I had one of my biggest jobs yet, rekeying 19 locks, all to be alike. Normally, for the bigger jobs, my boss would help me, but he isn't exactly the most organized and keeps losing his bidding tweezers, so I was on my own. They were all to some side rooms holding some thick piping. Sign above them said something along the lines of fire room or something, but that wasn't my problem. Somewhere around lock 14, I heard the signature Karen me, having made a parking mistake, pointed out by a kind lady earlier and expecting something similar, turned around and said, "Is everything all right?" I should have known where this was going. Karen, "What are you doing here?" Me, "I'm rekeying these locks," still naively thinking this was just another interested stranger. Karen, "You aren't allowed to do that. That's illegal." I read enough on Reddit to start recording at this point. Sadly, I don't have it anymore. My phone data filled up. I was surprised that Karen said nothing about me beginning to film. Maybe she thought I was sending boss a message or something? Me, "Ma'am, this is my job. The owner of this complex ordered me to do this. Please leave me alone." Karen, "No, I live here and you aren't allowed to do this. Don't make me call the police. Do you even have a license to do this?" Spoiler alert, no license is needed per se, but there is some sort of certificate for identification so I can't just copy the key and come back or something. Me, "I have a license. Back off and let me do my job. You're a tenant, not an owner." I know this because I was ordered to do this by the owner himself. Besides, these are side rooms to some sort of fire control area. You don't even have access here, and yet I do. Is that not proof enough? Karen, "Show me your license or I'm calling the police." Me, "Call them then. I have no obligation to show you verification number. You aren't my client." Getting irritated by the humid heat. "Now bug off." Karen, "I'm calling the police. They'll make sure you never do this again." Me, absolutely PO'd at this point. "F off, lady. I'm doing my job, so leave me alone and waste someone else's time and energy." Karen, "I'm the owner's wife. You aren't allowed to do this. I'm calling the police." Me, calming down. "No, you're not. The owner doesn't live around here and is single. Try again, lady." I know I have mild anger issues and have been trying to control it, but this lady just pissed me off in 90-degree heat. Genetically related back pains and being hunched over for 14 locks working on the ground didn't help much either. Sure enough, she called the police. 2 locks later, they arrived. They asked if I was supposed to be here. I said yes, showed the text between me, my boss, and the real owner, got them on a call to confirm, and showed the police my number and the video. It wasn't very interesting from there. They basically told the lady not to waste police time ever again, and this wasn't her business, and I wasn't in the wrong. They ordered her to desist and let me know everything was good and to continue as normal. I got the job done well. This incident was shown to the landlord. If it was up to me, I'd change one pin on her door to the next size up. It wouldn't make her key not work, just make it harder to turn. Sadly, the landlord just laughed and said I couldn't do that. Let me add this as a side note. You people who deal with Karens regularly have a newfound respect from me. Karen should have been fined for wasting the police's time. Their time's better off chasing real criminals and not somebody just doing their job. And our next story. My employer tried to screw me on travel. So back in the day when I worked for mid-size company, which was wholly owned by Giant Company, there was a big tech fest in Barcelona, and Giant Company was going to be there. Just a few days before the fest, they realized they needed someone from mid-size company to demonstrate our soon-to-be-released product, but it was less than a week away. So my producer came to me, I was the product's design lead, and said, "We really need you to go to Barcelona, but because of the short notice, we can't order you to go." I looked at him. He said, "Giant Company guy that I liked says if you go, you can either A, fly first class, or B, take your wife." Well, the thought of scoring major karma with my wife, who speaks Spanish fluently, was the deal maker. And I said, "You bet," and immediately phoned my wife with the exciting news. Just 2 days before we were due to fly to Spain, some bean counter at Giant Company decided the deal they'd offered me was too good, so decided to walk back on the offer. It wasn't written down after all. My producer came to me and said I couldn't take my wife when I went, so I replied, "Okay then, I won't go." My producer grinned and went back to the bean counter, who was amazed that I'd walked it back. He thought for sure I'd want the trip to Spain, right? Now we had no one to demo the mid-size company product, no one at Giant Company could do it, and no one else at mid-size company would do it after hearing how they tried to screw me. The bean counter caved immediately, and me and my wifey got our trip to Barcelona. I sat in a big white room talking about tech specs to nerds all weekend, and wife got to see the city. I did manage to go out to dinner with her in the evenings. Squid ink paella and tapas for the win. I'm told that since they had to book my wife's ticket the day we flew, it cost Giant Company an extra $1,000. Peanuts for them, but still. Of course, the source of the problem is that bean counter had false perspective. It's not a trip to Spain for me, it's a trip to a big white room full of other nerds for the weekend. If I can't even score wife points, it was absolutely not worth the trip. And our last story. Karen wanted my truck and called the cops saying I stole it. This happened a few years ago. I moved northwest from the Bible Belt in the south 3 years ago, and my truck is an '01 GMC Southern Comfort. This truck originally belonged to my father, but when he passed, he left it to me. I, 27-year-old female, had to fix many issues with it, from lifter tick, front rack leaking, exhaust fell off, and even the broken fuel pump. I fixed it up the way he wanted and took a nice road trip getting it up here. I moved to an area with an influx of individuals from California, and the Karen is one of the few that are nuts. She complained to the front desk of the apartment complex for anything and everything. She once yelled at random people in the parking lot because she wanted an eco-friendly environment and demanded we all sell our gas vehicles for Teslas. When we said we can't afford them, she screamed at more people about how she could afford hers. I don't drive the truck very often because Dad wanted to keep the mileage low, and it's a two-wheel drive lowrider, so it's a Sunday driver. It's been over 2 years since this happened. It was late summer, and I decided I'll take it to the car wash to clean it up a bit. Now, this truck is loud, but not obnoxious. Everyone who's owned a V8 knows a cold start in the morning can be loud, and the Flowmaster Outlaw under it doesn't help. She came up, banshee, screaming at me that I need to tone it down. People are sleeping. It's 9 a.m. I apologized and said I haven't cranked it in over a week. It's going to be a little loud. It's a 5.3-liter V8. She looked at it more and smiled and asked, "Can my son have it?" Me, "What? No. Why would you ask that?" Her, "Well, my son's in high school and would absolutely love it. Plus, you have multiple vehicles, and you don't need more than one." Me, "Absolutely not. This truck belonged to my dad and is not for sale." Her, "If you don't give it to me, I'll tell the front desk on you." Me, "Go ahead." and I drive off. I later got a call from the front desk that she complained and to meet them there. Me. Hello, manager. How can I help you? Manager. Hey, OP, Karen here is complaining your truck's too loud. Do you have a copy of the exhaust paperwork? Me. Yeah, I'll go get it. Grabbed it out of my center console and handed it to the manager. Manager. You see, Karen, her truck is in legal noise ordinance limit, and even then, it's not that loud. Me. I'm sorry, Karen, you feel my truck is too loud, but it's in legal limit and I don't drive it every day. Karen storming off, slamming manager's door. Me, shrug shoulders. I don't know what her problem is, but she tried to ask me to give her the truck earlier. Manager. Weird. A few days passed and it was nice, but as I was going to go put gas in my truck, Karen once again asked for it for her son. I said no. She threatened that she would call the police on me. I said go ahead, waited by my truck for them. They came and said they got a report of a stolen vehicle. They separated us and I told them everything. Officer. So Karen has been harassing you and demanding the truck? She claimed you took the keys from her son and pushed him. Me. Yes, officer, here are the registrations from the last several years, including the ones with my dad's name on them. If you follow me, I'll get the title that's in my name and his death certificate. We got the papers from my lockbox. Officers reviewed them together and told Karen, ma'am, filing a false report is serious. Karen, but she stole my son's truck. Officer, no, you falsely called us and harassed her. Karen shoved the officers trying to run between them and was arrested for assaulting a police officer. Karen was evicted for throwing rocks at gas trucks in the parking lot a few months later and encouraging her 2 teen sons to jump in the beds of the trucks. She claimed they were free-range kids, like chickens, and thus were above the law. She also screamed at a Muslim couple and left a bag of trash on their door. Yeah, she wasn't very pleasant as a neighbor. Eco-friendly Karen will try anything to get her son a V8 truck. She's a special kind of crazy. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.